When was the last time that you faced challenge? When was the last time that you experienced joy? I'll bet the majority of you in this room can tell me the last negative experience or hardship that you had before you can tell me the last time that you were genuinely happy. You remember where you were when you lost your family pet or a family member, your job or your home? Everybody remembers where they were on 9/11. That's because those experiences have a different impact on us. To the United States Bank, 5 rolls of pennies are $2.50. To me, it's what I was holding in my hand offering to my father the day that he walked out of our house. I said, "Please take these so you always remember who I am, so that you won't forget us." And he said, "Don't worry, I won't forget you." And he gathered up the rest of his belongings, and he walked out the door, and he climbed into his pickup truck, parked outside a 90 Overlook for any locals out there, and he drove away. And now the point is, I can't tell you what I got for my 5th birthday that year, but I can tell you exactly what the apartment felt like in every detail. The way that the morning sun warmed the carpet where I stood looking out the window, and the way that my heart sank in my chest in a little bit of confusion, wondering, why is he leaving anyway? My name is David Lionheart, and tonight I want to talk to you about the waves of life, both good and bad. I want to talk to you about how those experiences can shape our lives, and I want to talk to you about my family's personal journey of turning trauma into triumph. Anybody who has ever surfed or swam in the ocean knows that there's no such thing as a perfect timetable for the right wave. You just sit in the water, simply waiting. And in life, similar situations occur. On bad days and tough days, it seems like the good waves are done. And on those days, they seem to last extremely long. So tonight, I want to talk to you about my mother, Sylvia. She's in the audience tonight. Hi, Mom. I learned a lot from my mother growing up. And one of the most important lessons that she taught us was no matter how bad it was growing up, it was always worse for somebody else. You always had to keep your head above water. I look at how she dealt with things growing up. And she was often calm and composed no matter how bad it was. And then I look at myself and how I dealt with things growing up. And it was often in anger, frustration, confusion. I was confused why my father walked out that day, why he left us, why he left my mother with no support system, why he left my sister with no father figure. There's a lot of long-distance dads out there who do a great job of taking care of business, and I respect that. Effort goes a long way with me. I have a 3-year-old son, and I miss him right now, even being away from him for these couple hours. A couple late years later in life, I was angered by a man who decided to sexually abuse me. How anyone can do that to a child, who can lure somebody in with something so sweet like candy and perform such despicable acts on them. But you shouldn't eat candy anyway, it'll rot your teeth out. You know, when I look at a pack of Skittles, I don't think about how good they taste. As a teenager, I was frustrated growing up. When my friends were leaving practice and heading out to go hang out, I was hopping on a bus to go to get my dishwashing job at 13, one I had to lie about so that I could obtain the job. Willingly, of course, to hand the paycheck over to my mom so she can keep the lights on for us. Those mornings where you're up at 5 a.m. heating up water on the stove when there's no plumbing so you, your sister, and your mother can bathe before school and work, filling up that notorious red hamper, 1 pot hot, 2 pots from the faucet. That was frustrating for me. Going on in life, having to watch my parents bury my teenage brother who left this world under his own hand, who couldn't find hope. The pain in my stepfather's eyes, the pain that's still there in his eyes, why any parent should have to outlive their child through that situation. That one still hurts. A similar pain that I see in my beautiful sister's eyes, a week after she gave birth to twins, having to say goodbye to Caden, who didn't make it. Thank God Cipriana's with us. She's a blessing. You see, you go through life and you start adding up these experiences and these things that are going on, and it's easy to feel like you're living a life of loss, a life of struggle. It's easier to feel, I was identifying with anger and confusion, thinking, why God, why me? What's going to possibly go wrong next? It is only now that I can look at these experiences in a healthy way. You see, they weren't actually hardships, they were blessings. We needed those in our life to become the people that we are today. I needed them to become the man that I am today. And here's why. One very important detail that I did not process as a child going through those things was something else my mother was doing. While she was managing all of that and going through so much worse, she always found a way to give back. She was hardworking, honest, the hardest working person I know. She had very little time and money, but she always made it available to anyone who needed it. Whenever there was a family member or a friend in a crisis, she would open the doors to our little tiny trailer for them to come live with us. You see, we never had a house, but she always made sure that we and everyone else we knew had a home. And that must have felt really good for her. That must have been healing for her to be able to do that. And she set a great example with that. She helped us realize that no matter what we were going through, somebody else was going through something so much worse than that. And that was a really interesting perspective to pick up on now as an adult. There's also people who haven't had to go through those things, who haven't had to manage those feelings over a long term, and that's okay. Because no matter who you are or where you've been, you have the ability to help turn trauma into triumph, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. And that's by giving back to them. Not thinking, what can possibly go wrong next to me? But thinking, how can I use my experience and my knowledge to help those who are around me? Even when you have nothing to hold in your hand, you always have something to offer from your heart. And now I don't have all the answers or a magic formula. I'm not a motivational speaker or a life coach. I'm just a regular guy who knows what it's like to be in the water, waiting. And when you start to find calm and comfort during those situations, you will not only be able to overcome the toughest waves, but you'll be able to help the people next to you get on theirs. And the more times you put yourself in those situations, you'll realize the best waves in life are not the ones that you're on, but the ones that other people are taking because of your efforts. I now use fitness and peer-to-peer support to help veterans and their families transition from military life to civilian life. I didn't serve. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy. A friend of mine opened up my eyes to the sacrifice that military men, women, and their families are making on a daily basis. We try and help them take their stories of unthinkable sacrifices that they're making and use those stories to help their peers get through going through similar things. Not for a feel-good moment, but a matter of life and death, because these men and women are taking their lives rapidly on our own soil. The peer system is so important for them. It was a similar system that I needed, but just coming from a different kind of a beating. And now, I didn't come up here tonight to expose these vulnerabilities to you for public sympathy. I expose them because even if one person in this audience can identify with one thing that I'm saying, I want to let you know something very important. You are not alone. I want to empower you so when the toughest days come, you can look at them with a positive light. You can get through anything. There will always be somebody who is bigger, faster, stronger, more successful, more money, better car. And then there's people who are living in a deep, dark, depressed place who feel like they have no life, no purpose, and no reason to live. And those are the people that we need to stay afloat for. And I don't mean that they're living in a dirt cave somewhere with like long fingernails and long hair and stuff. I mean they look like you, and they sure as anything look like me. I'd like to ask everybody in here tonight, if you're physically able to please stand up. Hit the lights. We need to focus on our identity during both of those situations. Respect the good waves and understand you can handle the toughest ones. Every single one of you is someone who has been somewhere. Every single one of you has the ability to turn trauma into triumph, not just for yourself, but for someone else. And if you want to put your hands together after I'm done talking, don't do it for me. Do it for her. Because without her, I wouldn't be standing up here, and I wouldn't be the husband, the father, the son, and the friend that I am. Thank you.